Unifor's first year was really about identifying who we are. It was about putting our stamp on the labor movement, but it was also about putting our stamp in the politics across the country. So this first year was about Unifor making a bold statement to the movement, to the politicians, but more importantly to ourselves, that we are what working class people need.
Ici, c'est une très belle région. On a beaucoup de choses proches pour pouvoir se divertir, mais en même temps, on n'est pas trop loin de la campagne. Fait que c'est une très belle place à vivre, moi. Bienvenue chez Silicium Québec! Ce que vous voyez ici, c'est les fournaises, une des 3 fournaises. La roche de silicium a beaucoup de fonctions. Puis on va vendre ça à des compagnies qui vont faire un procédé chimique pour le transformer en silicone. Aussi des compagnies électroniques qui l'achètent pour faire des composantes électroniques parce que le silicium, c'est un produit qui est conducteur. Bien sûr que nous autres, on vient de sortir d'un lockout. Les concessions demandées par l'employeur étaient d'environ 40 de réduction, ce qui était à peu près 20 de réduction de salaire, puis un autre 20 de tout ce qui est avantages sociaux, fonds de pension, les assurances collectives, les vacances. Si on reculait 20 ans en arrière, de côté avantages sociaux et salaires.
Mon nom est Marie-Pascale Lacroix. Je suis la conjointe de Jocelyn Marchand qui travaille chez Silicium Bécancour depuis 15 ans. Pour moi, ce qui a été difficile, c'est financièrement. Moralement, c'est difficile parce que tu sais que ça vient de commencer, mais tu ne sais pas si ça va durer 1 mois, 3 mois, 6 mois, 1 an. On a déjà vu 2 ans de lockout. Au début, Jocelyn, mon conjoint, le vivait pas trop mal. Mais plus le temps avançait, plus il se sentait peut-être pas autant utile au quotidien depuis 8 mois.
So here's this founding convention. We have a group of members who are feeling isolated because they're into this long dispute. They've been locked out, and they stood up and they laid out their issues, and the overwhelming support from the convention, I mean, it was truly touching.
Quand tu te retrouves seul dans la rue en pleine nuit, je peux vous dire que tu te sens bien seul. Par contre, quand tu reçois des appuis d'autres sections locales, c'est réconfortant, c'est ce qui nous permet de poursuivre notre bataille.
Je deviens un petit peu émotive, pardon. Ça a été une très, très, très grande solidarité. Il y a eu de l'aide d'un peu partout.
Ce qu'on a reçu comme appui est venu pratiquement tout de suite. C'est 2 gros syndicats qui sont fusionnés ensemble. Et puis, ça nous a donné nécessairement une double appui. Et là, on a acheté d'autres sections locales qu'on n'aurait pas eues si on n'aurait pas été fusionnés dans Unifor. Et ça, c'est un gain du ciel qui est arrivé pour nous autres qui étaient en plein conflit. Ça, c'était merveilleux.
The message to the employer was that this new union was going to make sure that we didn't leave anybody behind. It was about determination, and our members, they understood what was at stake, and they fought right to the bitter end. That's why they won. This is my challenge to Conservative leader Tim Hudak to a debate. This is a party that was going to destroy the trade union movement. So this was about the trade union movement destroying that ideology. There is no way that the Conservative government in Ontario was going to introduce right-to-work legislation. What happened in Ontario was going to spread across the country.
Tim Hudak was a huge threat to not just Ontario, but all of Canada. Everybody was watching what he was doing. Once they saw that he wanted to eliminate 100,000 jobs in one go once he got elected, bring in the legislation against how dues would be paid for our members, it just would have decimated everything that unions stand for.
So the biggest thing that Tim Hudak was after was the RAM formula. That was a big eye-opener for myself personally. I was very afraid and felt really obligated to go and speak to my members about it and educate them based off of how I was educated about it.
Being at home and being with my family, we were elated that Tim Hudak was defeated. I didn't even bother to watch his speech because I was like, yay, he's not gonna be in. This is brilliant. I cannot believe that we've done the work and the work won.
I start up the truck in the morning and you know you're not going to make the money to run that diesel. $75 a day to $100 a day for diesel. The rates were so low, expenses were so high, trying to raise a family. And some days before the strikes, it was just not worth going out there for 2 or 3 loads.
It was a lot to do with waiting time at the dock, 4 to 5 hours, and nobody was making any money. If we're waiting around at the port, we weren't getting paid at all. So everybody was frustrated, and then they decided to walk off the job.
Nobody wanted to go out on strike. Nobody wants to shut down, and nobody wants to have that problem where, you know, you have no money coming in for 4 to 6 weeks. The threat was if they would let you send us back to work and you don't go back, it's a criminal offense. Then it would be jail. And they basically told them, you want to arrest us, go right ahead. We're here.
We had a convoy that went from outside of Vancouver right through to a massive demonstration. When they understood that we were defying the legislation, they understood that the only alternative was to negotiate. And at the end of the day, we stood right in the Premier's office and announced to all of Canada that we had just solved the Port of Vancouver dispute. And it was a significant victory for not only our members who were in the dispute, but for our members right across the country.
Since Unifor has been formed, now actually the governments are listening to us. And when our president speaks, the president, or the prime minister, sorry, and the premiers, they listen.
I'm a stevedore down here at the logistics in Sydney, and I've been here for 28 years. Cape Breton has always been a union environment here. We've had steel workers and coal mines. It's still like a family-oriented thing to me.
Before these cruise ships arrived here, we had a steel plant and the mines and that there stuff. So that industry is all gone right now. So this is what's left over, the cruise ships. We get a call out for a ship that's coming in. We go down, we're on the waterfront just to make sure that the boat's tied up and everything goes as planned.
There was a word of mouth going around that our services were no longer needed. In other words, they were more like getting rid of the union.
Like they figured there was only 14 men down there doing this their job and they could just push us out the door.
We planned a rally that was going to leave one of the parks there and march up to Sydney there and march down here to the waterfront. And the police were estimating somewhere between, I think it was around 1,500 to 3,000, 4,000 people. They really didn't know it was just going to be that big. Then we went to a couple more of the council meetings, and the council members, they really turned for us, and they were behind us 100%. I think that's when the Ports Corporation finally backed down.
I'm a heavy equipment operator. Been here for 31 years. Every couple of years, we're always going through the same thing. Is there going to be enough wood for the mill? We were always seem to be fighting to get enough wood to run. Whether it be the government or the economy or just the private woodlot owners. In the last 10 years, we've lost 54 mills in the province. I mean, it's a small town and we're short on heavy industry to begin with, and we need it. Right here, we do mostly rough dimensional cut lumber. And it's shipped off to another facility to be planed and dressed and sent to the American market.
There's two issues. There's one, you need access to product. So we participated in the political discussion with the government about what does the strategy look like. Two, you need the capital to refurbish the existing mills. Well, the Irving announcement, they announced about $500 million worth of investments, which was really going to upgrade 4 mills. This is about what happens when labor, the business community, governments, everybody gets involved in a discussion about the strategy, about what do good jobs look like. How are we going to take advantage of our natural resources and raw materials here in Canada to put Canadians to work?
Welcome to St. John, New Brunswick. It's pretty foggy today, but I swear it's a nice city. I work at Irving Pulp and Paper as a lab tech. I grew up in Hammond River, about a half hour outside of the city. A lot of people leave their family or they uproot their entire family and go out west. That's very common. I consider myself one of the lucky ones to be able to stay in New Brunswick. I don't really ever have to worry about moving away to get a better job because I feel like, you know, I have it pretty good here with the job that I have. I enrolled in New Brunswick Community College. I did all 3 work terms with the pulp mill, and then they gave me a full-time job before I even graduated. So when I first started at the pulp mill, I did shipping, receiving work. I was trained to drive a forklift, trained to drive a loader. So that loader that's going right now, that's what I used to drive, that exact one. This lab is a lab that I've been wanting to get into. If we weren't unionized, I would be making a lot less than some of my male coworkers. So I'm really happy that, you know, there's that equality and I never have to worry about that being a part of Unifor.
Well, the community chapters is about extending our union to the community. It's about inclusivity. So the Freelancers Union is a prime example. Here is a group of workers that it's very difficult for them to join a traditional union. But as individuals, they want to play a role in the broader debate. They want to make sure that their issues are heard. They understand that if they come together collectively, they have more strength.
I'm Suzanne Gallant. I'm a video producer and director, and I'm a member of the Canadian Freelance Union. I work contract to contract. I work from home mostly on the days where I'm not out shooting. There's a tendency for, I think, freelancers to underbid and undervalue their work in the hopes of just scoring the next contract. We really need to start thinking about preventing the race to the bottom. The Canadian Freelancers Union is a community chapter that's under the larger umbrella of Unifor. And I think that makes sense for the Canadian Freelancers Union because we are a very diverse, broad group of working people who don't necessarily share a common employer. I think as the economy continues to pursue this trend of precarious contract workers, see if you can actually become potentially a really interesting, important union that has a role to play. I'm pretty confident that this new union that's certainly going about doing things in an innovative way is perhaps going to be a really good tool for us to get better living standards and make for a better life.
My name's Liz Marzari. I'm unit chair at the Toronto Star.
This is one of my favorite pieces of Star memorabilia. It's a photo of the signing of our first contract way back in 1949. In the background, you'll see Beelan Hondrick. He was the first president of the Guild, and his son, John Hondrick, is the chairman of the board of Torstar right now.
One of our units, the Globe and Mail, was in contract negotiations in the last few months. It was quite a heated bargaining. It got down to the last wire, and the biggest issue for them was the desire on the part of the company to have journalists write what we would call advertorial copy. What the pressure at the Globe was, they wanted to be able to assign their news journalists to write advertorial, to not identify it as advertorial, so it would be written by a regular journalist. It would appear to be a regular story, but it would be all about a particular company. Obviously, this was a critical issue for the journalists in our union. It goes to the heart of their credibility and the heart of what journalists do. It became a lightning bolt issue for the newsroom and for the other staff at the Globe as well, and for other units within Local 87M. They took a couple of strike votes, actually, and got down to within 24 hours of a strike deadline. Because of the strength of the membership, they were able to fight back that desire on the part of the company to have them write advertorial. It's so vital that we have a robust news industry and a media that can report in an unbiased way. And that goes beyond just what we do in our workplaces. It affects the community around us and the communities that we service and that we're part of.
Bienvenue chez les Produits forestiers résolus. Je travaille comme papetier depuis une trentaine d'années. On va vous montrer de quoi ça a l'air et présenter certains de nos membres. Le produit forestier résolu produit du papier journal, du newsprint. C'est une entreprise qui est avec nous depuis 75 ans.
Resolute bargaining was very important for us because it was the first set of negotiations with a major employer.
Dans l'usine actuellement, on a 375 membres qui représentent Unifor pour la papetière. Il y a une couple d'années, on était 1500, on a déjà été jusqu'à 3000. Mais la modernisation, l'Internet, ça n'a pas bien fait.
Employers said to us, listen, if you take major concessions, there'll be some layoffs. If you only take some concessions, there are going to be major layoffs. And they said it publicly. We've heard about it through the media.
Mon nom est Marc Dallaire. Ça fait 33 ans que je travaille à l'usine. La dernière négociation, Unifor a vraiment été pris au sérieux dans le fait où quand que le président, Jerry, il disait quelque chose, c'était vraiment écouté. J'ai fait plusieurs négociations. J'ai vu une grosse différence. Vraiment, là, on sentait qu'il y avait un appui en arrière, que même la compagnie le sentait que c'est gros Unifor. J'étais là au congrès de fondation. Au premier abord, je trouvais ça énorme. Mais lorsqu'on regarde avec ce que ça donne, c'est vraiment un pouvoir. On est puissant.
So resolute bargaining was about bringing the jobs back in-house because our members really got hammered during the economic recession. Our members took wage cuts. We gave on benefits, time off the jobs. So resolute bargaining was about getting it back. And it was about saying, not just to Resolute, but all the employers, that this is a game changer. Our organization is going to do everything we can to fix the wrongs.
Dans l'industrie forestière, le contre-type, c'est on choisit un groupe qui est pour un employeur, comme là, on a choisi Résolu, négocie une convention collective, puis quand elle est ratifiée, bien là, les autres doivent aller chercher la même chose. Ils peuvent pas aller en bas, ils doivent aller chercher mieux, mais pas en bas.
So any employer that wants to screw with the pattern is going to have a strike. Our days of standing still and going backwards, they're over. This is about progress.
It's hard to even remember what it was like before there was a Unifor. It's been an incredible time.
86,000 women are part of Unifor. There's comfort in knowing that Unifor has our back.
Unifor, moi je crois qu'il devrait continuer à créer des liens plus serrés pour justement quand des moments durs arrivent, qu'on continue à vraiment à honorer le nom Unifor.
Unis ensemble, on peut faire changer plein de choses.
I think it's been one heck of a first year. It's been one incredible ride. This organization is about change, and it's about building an organization that's not afraid to talk about it.
Sisters and brothers, this has been the largest convention in the history of our Congress and our Canadian labor movement.
We are going to be what working class people need to build a stronger, more prosperous society.
I'm feeling very positive about Unifor. We're going to make more gains than what we have in the past.
C'est un syndicat qui va être écouté par son gouvernement, mais ils ont quand même 300 000 membres en arrière d'eux autres. Ça nous rend extrêmement forts.
But when you have 300,000 members, you have one big family.
Au revoir tout le monde.
Salut, merci d'être venu.
Bye.